Now I have the pleasure of introducing our commencement speaker, Francisco J. Sanchez, the Undersecretary of Commerce for International Trade at the U.S. Department of Commerce, and a Florida State alumnus, is considered a leading voice for global businesses with focus on small and mid-sized organizations. A native of Florida, Mr. Sanchez grew up in Tampa's historic Ybor City, known for its cigar factories and the hardworking immigrants who populated them. He graduated with a bachelor's degree from Florida State in 1982, and in 1986 he received his Juris Doctorate from Florida State's College of Law. He also earned a master's degree in public administration from the Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University in 1993. On April 20th, 2009, President Barack Obama nominated Mr. Sanchez to the position of Undersecretary for International Trade at the U.S. Department of Commerce. As the head of the International Trade Administration, Mr. Sanchez oversees the development of U.S. trade policy in the global economy, creates jobs and economic growth by promoting American companies worldwide, strengthens the country's competitiveness, and administers U.S. trade laws. As a senior policy advisor to President Obama during the 2008 campaign, Mr. Sanchez served as the chairman of the National Hispanic Leadership Council and also provided policy support on issues pertaining to Latin America. He now brings his wide range of experience in both federal and state government, as well as in the private sector, to his leadership position at the International Trade Administration. Mr. Sanchez previously served as the Assistant Secretary for Aviation and International Affairs at the U.S. Department of Transportation, where he developed aviation policy and oversaw international negotiations. He began his career in government working as director of Florida's Caribbean Basin Initiative Program for then Governor Bob Graham. Mr. Sanchez was named one of the 100 most influential Hispanics by Hispanic Business Magazine, and also one of the top Hispanics nationwide by Podar Magazine. He is on the board of directors for the Overseas Private Investment Corporation and is a member of the Council of Foreign Relations. In 2010, he was named to the National Hall of Fame for the Boys and Girls Club of America. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Mr. Francisco Sanchez.
Thank you, President Barron, members of the Board of Trustees, faculty and staff, distinguished guests, parents, family members, and friends, and most of all, to the class of 2012. Let me begin by extending my congratulations to you. It is a pleasure to be back at my alma mater, Florida State University, and I am deeply honored to be a part of this special ceremony. And as I was preparing my remarks, my mind wandered back to when I was a student here. Back in those days, as the New York Times columnist Tom Friedman is fond of saying, Facebook didn't exist, Twitter was just a sound, 4G was a parking space, LinkedIn was a prison, and Skype was a typo. So clearly a lot has changed since I was here, but one thing hasn't, and that's the feeling of receiving a diploma. Back in 1982, I was sitting in one of those seats. I was excited, I was proud. I was ready to start using my education to do something big. And like you, I was hoping and praying that the commencement speaker would not talk for too long. Yes, you can applaud. I won't disappoint. I can also say that I was a little nervous, unsure about my future, worried about finding my place in the world, and hoping that somehow, some way, things would work out for me. I'm sure that many of you are feeling the same way. You're a bit anxious. You're a bit anxious about the next chapters in your life. You don't know how everything is going to turn out. And I want to tell you that it it's okay to feel this way. Life is full of uncertainty, and all you can do is make the most of every moment and every opportunity. And you can do this by believing in your dream and yourself, by taking risks, and by finding your own unique way to make a difference. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are thinking every commencement speaker says something like this. And you're right. And there's a good reason why they do. So here's my story. My dream had always been to work in public service. And the dream was inspired by my mother, who is herself a graduate of FSU. She launched one of the first Head Start programs in the United States, giving children living in poverty a good start in life and access to a good education. Her work was so valued that after she retired, a Tampa newspaper ran a piece about her with the following headline: "Delia Sanchez didn't just raise a son, she raised a city." So I saw up close the impact that she had on others. And I always wanted to get involved in my own way, which for me would be through government. So in my senior year of high school, there was a race for the governor of Florida. And I decided that I needed to publicly express my support for someone. Now keep in mind, I was a teenager, so my support meant very little in terms of public perception. But I still felt that I had something to offer. So I took this very seriously. I spent months studying the various candidates. There were about 7 of them at the time. And my friends, those that knew about politics, they urged me to support the leading candidate, the one that all the smart money was following. But my gut kept telling me that this man named Bob Graham was the best person for the job, even though all of those astute friends of mine assured me that Bob Graham didn't have a prayer. So I weighed all my options carefully, and I did this well into my freshman year of college. And one night I was working as a busboy at a big event. All the candidates for governor were there, and I decided it was time to declare my support. I'm sure that as I was picking up dishes, each and every one of those gubernatorial candidates were waiting with bated breath for this busboy's announcement. Well, when the banquet ended, I walked up to Bob Graham and I introduced myself. And before I knew it, I was on the campaign as a volunteer, and I was hungry. Whenever somebody needed something done, I raised my hand. When somebody asked me to do something in 5 minutes, I did it in 3. And in less than a week volunteering in the campaign, I was given a salary to work directly with the candidate for lieutenant governor, a wonderful man named Wayne Mixon. Well, we went on to win that election. And as a sophomore in college, I was working in the governor's office. And so my career in public service began. So I ask you, believe in your dream. Believe in yourself. And put yourself out there to achieve that dream. Now, I can tell you this can feel risky, but taking risks is necessary to live a life well lived. This leads me to my next story. I graduated from the FSU Law School in 1986. And after years of working for the governor, I decided to go work for one of Florida's top law firms. I worked very hard. I put in long hours. And at the age of 33, I was making a very good salary, and I was 6 months away from becoming a partner in this firm. Yet my heart was telling me that there was something bigger out there for me. So I quit my job, and I decided to enroll at the Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University. I can assure you that some of my family and friends disagreed with my decision. To put it more bluntly, my father thought I was crazy. Not only did I lose my salary, which went to nothing, but I now was paying a very high tuition to attend graduate school. So on the surface, this looked like a questionable decision, but I can tell you it was the best move that I could have made. I took classes with a well-known professor named Roger Fisher. I honed valuable skills in negotiation and conflict resolution, and I went on to work with Professor Fisher for 4 years. And then I struck out on my own. I took all the money that I had, and I co-founded a consulting firm to teach negotiation strategies to corporate and government clients all over the world. And I had done better than I had ever done before. Now, I probably would have continued in this business for a long time, but one day I got a call from an old friend by the name of Buddy McKay. He had just been appointed special envoy to the Americas for the President of the United States, then Bill Clinton. And his call to me was to ask me to be his chief of staff in the White House. It was another opportunity to be involved in government, so I jumped at the chance. This eventually led to me becoming Assistant Secretary of Transportation for President Clinton, and it's an experience that serves me well as President Obama's Undersecretary of Commerce for International Trade. And looking back, I would not be where I am today had I played it safe, had I stayed at that firm. Going to the Kennedy School set me on a new course, and it is why I now have the unique opportunity to advocate on behalf of American companies all over the world. So as I reflect on this story, I urge you, take risks and follow your passion, because it is the only way that you will satisfy yourself. And while you're at it, learn skills that give you the best chance to succeed when you do take those risks. And as you think of success, find ways to make a difference in the world. And this can be done in a variety of ways. And sometimes it simply means helping one person. When I was 19, I was working late in the office, and all of a sudden I heard crying outside my door. It was the woman who came in every night to clean the governor's office. So I asked her, what's wrong? She said she had an alcoholic husband. And when she was working at night, she feared that he might be hurting her children. She'd been trying for 3 years to switch to the day shift in order to be home at night, but her request had gone unanswered. So the next day, I picked up the phone and I called the appropriate department and explained the problem. I was assured that the situation would be handled, and I never saw the woman for years. And then one day, I was at an event, and this woman came up to me, and she said, "You're Francisco Sanchez. You probably don't remember me, but 7 years ago, you helped me get on the day shift. You changed my life." As it turns out, that phone call was probably as important as anything I've ever done in my life. So if you come up with a great idea to protect the environment or to feed the hungry, go for it. And if you don't, find other ways to make a difference. Find something outside yourself and make it better. I can assure you it's among the most satisfying things that you will ever do. I have the privilege of representing the interests of the United States in the global economy. And I can tell you that people all over the world are inspired by the American spirit and character. And all of you embody this spirit and character. So I ask you again, believe in your dream and yourself, take risks, and find your own unique way to make a difference. By doing so, I know that you will help write America's next great chapter. Now, I have to tell you, my journey has been guided by a number of people who helped me along the way. And I know that you too have received a lot of help along the way. So I'd like to ask the parents, the family, and friends to stand and be recognized for your contribution to the College of 2012. Please. Thank you for all the support that you've given to this class. So I'm finished with my stories, and now it's time for you to write yours. Always remember that you are the authors of your destiny. You can shape the next chapter of your lives in any way that you want. And if your time here at FSU is any indication, I know that you will have an impact. I look forward to hearing about the meaningful things that you will do. Keep making us proud, but more importantly, keep making yourselves proud. Once again, congratulations to the class of 2012. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, and go Noles.